January 1st. The day after Ava Montgomery was supposed to get married and didn't, because her fiancé never showed up. She'd spent New Year's Eve crying in her wedding dress, and New Year's Day drinking champagne alone at the rooftop bar of the most expensive hotel in the city. That's where she met Julian Cross. The tech billionaire was nursing his own wounds, an ex who'd only wanted his money, a string of relationships that proved love was a transaction. When she drunkenly suggested they fake date for a year just to prove romance was dead, she expected him to laugh. Instead, he handed her a napkin. "Let's make it official," he said. 365 days. We document everything. First dates, anniversaries, the whole performance. At the end, we'll have proof that love is just a story people tell themselves. She should have said no. Instead, she signed the napkin. The next 364 days would change everything. Day 1. The rules were simple. They would date publicly for exactly 1 year. Document everything on Ava's blog and social media, the whole romantic performance. At the end, they'd reveal it was all fake, proving that the fairy tale of love was nothing but good acting and careful staging. "Why are you doing this?" Ava asked, surprisingly sober by the time they'd hammered out the details. "You're a billionaire. You could date anyone. That's exactly the problem." Julian's smile was sharp. "Everyone I date wants something. Money, status, access. At least with you, the transaction is clear. We're both getting proof that love is performative. That's incredibly cynical. I prefer realistic. You're the one who suggested this, remember." She had. In her champagne-fueled misery, it had seemed like the perfect revenge against romance itself. Now, in the harsh light of mourning, she wasn't sure. But she was sure she couldn't go back to her old life. The apartment she'd shared with Michael. The wedding presents still in boxes. The pity in everyone's eyes. "Day 1, she said. "What's the plan? Brunch?" "Very public. Very photographable." He stood, offering his hand. "I know a place that will have us on page 6 by afternoon." "You're very efficient." "I'm very motivated." His eyes met hers. "I want this to be convincing. If we're going to prove love is fake, we need to perform it flawlessly." Ava took his hand. It was warm, strong, surprisingly gentle. "Just acting," she reminded herself. "All of it." But as Julian led her out of the bar, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking into something much bigger than either of them understood. Day 30. 1 month in, and Ava's blog was exploding. My perfect relationship. A 365-day experiment had started as a joke, a way to document their fake romance while secretly proving its emptiness. But people were obsessed. Her follower count had tripled. Brands were reaching out. Everyone wanted to know more about the mysterious billionaire who'd swept her off her feet on New Year's Day. The irony wasn't lost on her. "Your fans think I'm romantic," Julian said, scrolling through comments on his phone. They were having their 1-month anniversary dinner, a staged event with professional photos and a carefully chosen restaurant. "My fans don't know you hate Valentine's Day." "I don't hate it. I just think it's commercially manufactured sentimentality designed to sell cards and chocolate. That's the definition of hating it." He smiled, the real smile, not the one he used for cameras. Ava had learned to tell the difference. The fake smile was perfect, practiced. The real one was crooked, surprised, like he wasn't used to finding things funny. "Tell me something real," she said suddenly. "Something you haven't told anyone." "Why?" "Because we're supposed to be falling in love. I should know things about you that aren't in your Wikipedia page." Julian was quiet for a moment. "My mother left when I was 7. She told my father she never wanted children, that we were a mistake she was finally correcting." His voice was matter-of-fact. "I found out later she'd been having an affair for 3 years, Left my father, my brother, and me for a man in Paris. Never looked back. Julian, your turn." His eyes met hers. Something real. Ava took a breath. "I found out Michael was cheating 3 months before the wedding. I didn't leave because I thought I could fix it. Because I wanted the fairy tales so badly, I was willing to ignore reality." Her voice cracked. "He didn't leave me at the altar because he was uncertain. He left because his other girlfriend got pregnant." Silence. Then Julian reached across the table and took her hand. "We're quite the pair, aren't we? Cynics Anonymous. Survivors Anonymous." His thumb traced her knuckles. "I think I prefer that." The photographer captured the moment. In the picture, they looked like two people falling in love. Neither of them mentioned that it hadn't felt like acting. Day 100. Somewhere around day 75, Ava stopped remembering to call it fake. The anniversary posts, the couple photos, the sweet captions, they still felt like performance. But the in-between moments didn't. The late-night phone calls that were supposed to be practice conversations but turned into hours of real talking. The inside jokes that nobody else would understand. The way Julian always remembered exactly how she took her coffee. "You're getting too comfortable," Zoe warned her. "This was supposed to be an experiment, remember? Prove love is fake? I know what it was supposed to be, and what is it now?" Ava didn't have an answer. Day 100 was supposed to be a milestone, a fancy dinner, a piece for her blog about surviving the first 100 days. Instead, Julian showed up at her apartment with takeout and a terrible movie. "No photographers," he said. "No performance. I thought we could just be. That's not in the contract. The contract was a napkin, Ava. I don't think it's legally binding." They watched a movie. They ate too much Thai food. And when Ava fell asleep on his shoulder somewhere around the second act, Julian didn't move. He sat there for 2 hours, barely breathing, feeling her warmth against his side and wondering when exactly this had stopped being about proving love was fake and started being about hoping he was wrong. In the morning, she'd find his jacket draped over her, a note on the pillow. Day 100. Best one yet. Just she'd take a photo for the blog, caption it with something witty about milestone moments. She wouldn't post about how her heart raced when she read his handwriting. Some things were too real to share. Day 182. Halfway. The blog had become something Ava hadn't expected, a genuine chronicle of falling in love. She still told herself it was performance. Still reminded herself that this ended in 6 months. But the posts had shifted. Less about proving love was fake, more about documenting something she couldn't quite name. Day 150. He remembered I mentioned wanting to see the northern lights. He booked flights without telling me. Day 165. We had our first real fight. He apologized with my favorite flowers. How does he know these things? Day 175. I realized I can't remember the last time I thought about Michael. Someone else has taken up all the space. Someone else has taken up all the space. Julian had changed too. The cynical armor was cracking. He smiled more easily now. Real smiles, the crooked ones. He talked about things he'd never told anyone. He looked at Ava like she was something precious. Something he was afraid of losing. Halfway, he said, on day 182. They were on his yacht, ridiculous, extravagant, exactly the kind of thing she used to roll her eyes at. But he'd filled it with string lights and played her favorite music and made dinner himself. 182 days down, she agreed. 183 to go. And then, what? The question hung between them. The plan had always been to reveal the truth at the end. Prove their point. Move on. But moving on sounded different now. It sounded like losing something. We should talk about that, Ava said carefully. Should we? Julian moved closer. Or should we stop pretending we haven't both been avoiding it? Avoiding what? This isn't fake anymore, Ava. His voice was rough. I don't know when it stopped. Maybe it never was. But when I look at you, I don't see a contract. I don't see an experiment. I see... Don't. She stepped back. We agreed. 1 year. Then we walk away. What if I don't want to walk away? She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because the truth was terrifying, she didn't want to walk away either. But she'd believed in love before. She'd believed in Michael before. And look how that had ended. Day 200. They didn't talk about the yacht conversation. Slipped back into the comfortable routine of performed romance and unspoken truths. But something had shifted. The kisses for cameras lingered longer. The hand-holding continued after photographers left. The goodnight calls turned into falling asleep on the phone, neither wanting to hang up first. You were in love with him, Zoe said flatly. Ava Montgomery, the woman who swore off romance forever, is head over heels for a billionaire she was supposed to be using for content. I'm not. You doodle his name. You doodle like a teenager. It was one time. It was on the final presentation for our biggest client. You wrote Mrs. Cross's in the margin. Ava buried her face in her hands. What am I supposed to do? Fall out of love in the next 165 days? Or you could tell him. Tell him what? That I've fallen for the man I made a cynical pact with? That our proof of love being fake accidentally proved the opposite? She laughed, hollow. You'll think I'm running a con. That I planned this. Julian Cross is many things, but stupid isn't one of them. He knows what's real. Does he? Ava thought about his mother leaving, about Serena using him, about a lifetime of people wanting his money instead of him. He's been burned by people claiming to love him before. Why would this be different? Because it is different. Zoe took her hands. You fell for him when you thought he was just a grumpy cynic at a bar, before you knew about the billions. That counts for something. Maybe it did. Maybe it would. Or maybe, when the year ended, they'd both just be two more broken people who'd failed at love. Ava didn't know which outcome scared her more. Day 280. Michael came back. Ava was alone in her apartment when the buzzer rang. She opened the door expecting a delivery, found her ex-fiancé instead. Before you close the door, he said quickly, I need you to know. The baby wasn't mine. She lied to me. The whole thing fell apart. And this concerns me how? Because I made a mistake, Ava. Walking away from you was the worst thing I've ever done. He stepped closer. I've been watching your blog. This relationship you're in, it's not real. I can tell. You're performing. You're not happy like you were with me. You left me at the altar. And I've regretted it every day since. His hand reached for her face. I know you, Ava. I know when you're pretending. And that man, whoever he is, he's not right for you. We were right. She should have slapped him, should have screamed, slammed the door, called the police. Instead, she was frozen, because a small poisonous part of her wondered, what if he was right? What if she was just performing with Julian? What if real love was supposed to feel different? Get away from her. Julian's voice was ice. He appeared in the hallway, having arrived for their scheduled date, and his expression was murderous. This doesn't concern you, Michael started. Everything about her concerns me. Julian stepped between them, 6'2" of barely contained fury. You left her. You destroyed her. You don't get to come back and pretend that didn't happen. And who are you? The billionaire playing relationship games. I know what this is. I've read the blog. It's performance art. It ends in January and you both walk away. Julian's jaw tightened. You don't know anything about us. I know you're both pretending. I know she'll realize eventually that real love isn't documented and staged. And when she does, Michael smiled. I'll be waiting. He left. The silence that followed was deafening. Is that true? Julian's voice was quiet. Are you waiting for him? No. God, no. Ava grabbed his hands. Julian, but he's right about one thing, isn't he? His eyes were hollow. This was always supposed to end. We had a deal. Day 300. 65 days left. The countdown felt like a death sentence. After Michael's appearance, something had broken between them. The easy affection became strained. The phone calls got shorter. Julian canceled 2 dates, citing work, but Ava knew avoidance when she saw it. The blog suffered too. Her posts became hollow, pretty pictures with empty captions. Her followers noticed. Are they okay? They seem different. Something's wrong. You can see it in their eyes. The magic is gone. So sad. You're sabotaging it, Zoe said. Both of you. You're so scared of the ending that you're ruining what you have now. What do we have? A contract. An experiment. Something that was never meant to last. It lasted. It's been lasting for 300 days. That's not nothing. Ava knew she was right. But knowing and believing were different things. Day 300 and Julian's mother resurfaced. She'd seen the blog posts. Everyone had. And wanted to reconnect with her successful son. Julian shut her down completely, but Ava saw how it wrecked him. How the old wounds opened fresh. Day 320. Serena appeared at one of their public events. Made snide comments about Julian's latest project. Implied that Ava was no different from her, just better at playing the long game. She's wrong, Ava said afterward. I'm nothing like her, I know. But Julian's voice was distant. It's just hard sometimes, trusting that anything is real when everything has been performance. This is real, is it? Is it? He finally met her eyes. Because sometimes I can't tell anymore. We've been acting so long, documenting every moment, that I don't know what's genuine and what's content. Do you love me, Ava? Or do you love the story of us? She wanted to answer. Wanted to promise him that every feeling was authentic. But the words stuck in her throat. Because the truth was, she'd been asking herself the same question. Day 350. 15 days left. The blog was silent. The public dates had stopped. Ava and Julian existed in a limbo of almost talking, almost touching, almost admitting what they felt. She found him on his yacht, alone, staring at the water. You're going to let this end, aren't you? She said. Just let it fade away without a fight. What's there to fight for? We agreed. 365 days. Then we prove our point and walk away. What if I don't want to prove that point anymore? Julian was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking about day 1. About why I said yes to your crazy proposal. Because you wanted proof that love was performative. No, He finally turned to face her. Because you were crying in a wedding dress at a hotel bar, and you were the most beautiful broken thing I'd ever seen. Because something in me recognized something in you. Because something in me. Because... His voice cracked. Because I think I started falling for you before the experiment even began. Julian, I'm terrified, Ava. Not of loving you. I've been doing that for months. I'm terrified of losing you. Everyone I've ever loved has left or used me or turned out to be someone different than I thought. He stepped closer. What if this ends and you realize it was just a fairy tale? What if you wake up on day 366 and remember you don't believe in love? What if I wake up on day 366 and can't imagine my life without you? The question hung between them. All their fear, all their doubt, all their broken pieces. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. I don't know how to love someone without waiting for them to leave. Then we learned together. She closed the distance between them. No cameras, no blog, no audience, just us, terrified and trying. That's not much of a plan, it's not. She took his face in her hands. But it's real. For the first time in 350 days, it's completely real. When he kissed her, it wasn't for any audience. It was just for them. Day 365. New Year's Eve. 1 year exactly since they'd signed a napkin at a rooftop bar. Ava posted one final blog entry that morning. 365 days. A conclusion. 1 year ago, I made a pact with a stranger. We would fake date for exactly 365 days, document everything, and prove that love was nothing but performance. We failed. Not at the dating. We were excellent at that. We perfected the anniversary dinners, the couple photos, the sweet caption. We performed love for a year. We failed at proving it was fake. Because somewhere between day 1 and day 365, the performance became truth. The staged kisses became necessary. The documented moments became real memories. And two cynics who'd sworn off love discovered that hearts don't follow contracts. I'm not posting this to prove a point anymore. I'm posting it because I love him. Not for the content. Not for the story. Just because he's Julian, and Julian is everything. Today, the experiment ends. Today, we choose what comes next. I choose him. I choose us. I choose love. Real, terrifying, unscripted love. 365 days taught me something I never expected. You can't fake your way into feeling nothing. Eventually, the truth wins. Here's to day 366. And every day after. The comments exploded. Her followers wept. Brands scrambled to sponsor the Love Stories continuation. But Ava wasn't reading any of it. She was getting ready for a New Year's Eve party. One more date with Julian Cross. Except this time, nothing about it would be fake. Day 366. The party was everything a New Year's Eve should be. Glamorous, glittering, full of champagne and possibility. Ava wore gold. Julian wore black. They arrived together, left the cameras at the door, and danced like nobody was watching. 1 year ago, Julian said as midnight approached, "You walked into a bar and proposed the craziest deal of my life. And you said yes. Best decision I ever made." He pulled her closer. "I read your blog post. The comments are insane. I know. Everyone wants to know what happens next. What does happen next?" The countdown began around them. 10, 9, 8. "I was thinking," Ava said, "that we could start a new experiment." 7, 6, 5. What kind of experiment? 4, 3, 2. The forever kind. 1 done. The crowd erupted. Confetti fell. And Julian dropped to one knee. "I had a whole speech planned," he said, pulling out a ring box. "About how love isn't fake, and feelings aren't performance, and you've changed everything I thought I knew about myself. But, really, it comes down to this." Ava was crying, laughing, both. "Ava Montgomery, you signed a napkin a year ago that said we'd fake date for 365 days. I'm asking you to sign something different now. Something real. Something permanent. Yes. I haven't asked the question yet. I don't care. Yes, to whatever it is. Yes, to you." Yes to forever. He slid the ring on her finger and kissed her as the new year began. Not for cameras, not for content, not for anyone but themselves. 1 year ago, they'd tried to prove love was fake. Now they knew the truth. Love was the only real thing either of them had ever found. And it had taken exactly 365 days to discover that neither of them wanted it to end. Day 366 became day one of something new. And this time, neither of them was counting.